Alright, so before we get this video started, I just want to say that the filter cap in this radio that we're about to work on tested perfectly fine. It's one of those rare cases where it actually had a good factory filter cap and I didn't change it. So, you know, before y'all start giving me grief about not replacing the filter capacitor, it was checked and it has been played for hours to double check it, and the capacitance values were up to snuff and it's perfectly fine. So enjoy the video. Alright, here is a Zenith model 503 G503Y. I believe that's right. From around 1950. It is a portable AC, DC, or whatever battery operated AC in the wall radio, so AC DC. This is a pretty crusty junker that I picked up for a few bucks at the ham swap meet earlier this year. It's been sitting around for a while. I think I got this back in March or something like that, and it's late August now, so it's been sitting around. Haven't had a chance to dive into it. It's one of these that, you know, I got and put off to the side. And apologize, I haven't made a video in a while. I've just been so busy doing other things around here. I haven't had a chance to get out here in the shop, so figured I'd kind of take a break today and see if we couldn't tinker around with this thing. I've got another radio that I picked up at the same sale. It's a one of those farm sets, so I'll be featuring that in an upcoming video. And we'll see if we can't get, but I just mainly want to see if we can't get this one going. It's pretty crusty. I mean, this thing looks like it's been sitting up and being unused for a very long time. It's looks like it's leather, but it's coming apart. It's pretty torn up. Got some holes and stuff in the back of it, but might be able to work with it and make it look a little bit better. But as far as this unstitching stuff, I'm not really going to be able to do a whole lot with that. I might be able to clean the leather up, condition it, and make it look a little bit better, but it's, for the most part, this thing is it's mainly just a junker set. But anyway, let me see if I can't open up this back thing. It's really tough to get open. Alright, managed to get the back open. Got all the crusties in here, and we even have our original 90 volt battery back here. Looks like B plus is 90 volts, and your A voltage or A plus is 9 volts for the filaments. And that's the battery, one of the original battery packs. It is the original. It says Zenith on it. So we got our crusty power cord in here, which is obviously not safe to plug in, so we'll need to be changing that before we do anything. It's got crusties all in here, and mouse crap and everything else, spider web combination. So anyway, we got a bunch of it back in there, and so we'll probably need to clean this set up before I do a whole lot to it, so I won't get sick off of this thing working on it. So let me take a pause here. I think I'm gonna take this thing down there and blow all this crap out of it, clean it up a little bit. Alright, so I took it down there and blew it out, and in the process I took the original battery out of this thing and figured I'd show it. So that I ought to put that on eBay right there. Probably get about a couple $100 out of that thing. I'm joking, but you know how people are on there. They see something like that, they'll go nuts over it. So anyway, Alright, well, that's our display of our little battery that we got in here. And in the process, this hinge snapped when I went to go blow everything out, so these hinges are pretty rusty and weak on here. I mainly just want to see if I can get this thing going. I don't know. I just don't like having radios around here that, you know, it don't work if I can help it. But anyway, I think the first thing we need to do is replace this ratted out power cord so it's safe to even test it. Alright, so I managed to get the chassis out. It wasn't easy. Where it's sitting under that battery door thing over here on the inside there, you got 4 screws up underneath the bottom, up underneath that battery compartment. You've got to get a ratchet and a 1/4 inch socket up under there and just get them out that way, because you can't get there's not enough clearance to get a screwdriver or nut driver under there to get that out. So I mean, it's got either flat or a quarter inch, so it's easier to get it with the 1/4 inch, and just get a ratchet under there and get it out. It's 4 screws are there, and it's basically on a bracket in there. You got to get those out. Try to take the ones out of the back, but that's not going to work because there's 2 screws on the front and there's not enough clearance to pick it up and pull it back. So anyway, it comes out with this piece here. So if you're working on one of these, make sure that you pull that straight out of this here. Make sure that this comes with it and it's not closed or up too far. That'll come out with it. So anyway, we got this thing out. I believe this tube is going to air, and so that's probably going to need to be replaced. And I don't think I have one of those. That's a 1U4. I don't have a whole lot of those 1-bolt tubes, so I have to look around here. Maybe I can rob one out of a radio or something. But anyway, I'm gonna get this power cord replaced. I got one to go in here. I was trying to stick with the original brown. This one here is okay, but it's a bit on the stiff side, so I don't know how that's gonna work out, but that's what I'm gonna put in there for now. I got plenty of other ones, but they're white, so I think I was trying to stick with the original brown color they had in here, but this one's definitely got to go. Alright, so I got the power cord on it and getting a little bit of reception here. That's 1340, which is like a mile up the road from me. It's coming in, but nowhere near as loud as it should be. So we still got some problems with this, or we got some problems with this thing. I did the normal tube jiggle and didn't really get a whole lot. I did swap this 1U4 with another one, and it didn't really make a whole lot of difference. So I think that is functional. It just sort of looks whitish on the top there. So thought maybe it was had gone to air, but it does appear to be functioning somewhat. So I guess I'll move into kind of testing things and see what we can find is going on. Alright, so a few issues I have found with this thing. I've got it kind of going right now. That one tube, that 1U4, it's pretty much dead. I swapped, there's 2 1U4s in this. One of them is the RF amplifier tube, the other one's an IF. So I went ahead and swapped the 2, and I couldn't get anything, and then swap them back and you could get a little bit of reception. So swapped it with another tube that I had robbed out of another radio and put it in the IF section, and it woke up. But the problem is when you're getting the voltage out of the wall, you don't get anything. See, I just unplugged it, and I'm gonna plug it right into the wall here. Okay, well now it's working, but a minute ago I didn't get anything. I think the selenium rectifier in this radio is a little on the weak side. The main thing was the tube. The volume is all the way up, and I can just barely hear. I mean, the reception's good. But it's not very loud.
Welfare. No. Now, everybody in the United States, whether they're here. Friday will be a show right there.
Like when you get on the station, you just get this.
Station, South Carolina squares off the local board against North Carolina. So,
it's picking up stations pretty much all across the dial. So the reception's good, but just, I don't know, it just doesn't have a very loud audio output. It's just not very loud. The volume's all the way up. So I think some of it is weak. Some of it's bad caps, and the other is probably the selenium that's weak. That's plugged into the variac, which actually ups the voltage higher than the wall current, so it's kind of jamming a little more voltage into it. Where the selenium's weak, it jams more into it and brings up the voltage and kind of compensates for that bad selenium or weak. Alright, so I think that's what we got going on. I'm probably going to end up having to replace that selenium anyway, but I'm going to go and I went through, checked all the resistors, and I did find a couple of bad ones, replaced those, a bad 68K in the power supply, and I don't remember, it was a bad cap. That was definitely bad. I mean, you know, it melted out of it, so I replaced that in the power supply. I believe it was across the line, and that actually, believe it or not, woke it up a little bit. So anyway, so it is working. It's not great, but probably need to check the tubes and then go through and check some more voltages and everything and kind of see where everything's at. But from what I have checked, everything seems pretty normal. I think we just probably got some bad caps in this thing. Alright, so back on the Zenith portable here. It's been about a week or so. I had to order this tube and wait for it to come in, and hadn't really been feeling very good lately. I've got some kind of stomach virus or something, so it had me down and out for a couple of days, so I'm back on this. And so the other tube that was in here is dead. I checked it, it wouldn't even register, so I think that one had gone to air. So I already got this tube in here, and it checks real strong, so it seems to work just fine. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Yeah, it's picking up pretty good. Seems pretty normal. Alright, so I think the main thing we've got to finish on this thing, I've got to try and get that selenium rectifier replaced, and need to take some voltage measurements and compare that to the schematic, and that way I can come up with some type of resistor to put in line with it to get the voltages back to about where they need to be at. Alright, so this ridiculous setup is what I come up with. This is what I've got. So this is what went in here. We got our rectifier diode installed with the cathode in towards the power source, anode in going towards the line cord, and cathode going towards power source, meaning the radio. Anyway, so we got a 50 ohm resistor to drop down what we had. This is I got about 125 to 130 ohms out of this resistor, so we needed a little bit of extra dropping, so I come up with 50. Needed about 113 volts at the coming out of that diode is what our schematic calls for. We've got right at 113, which brings us down to about 100 volts. Going into the set, into the filter cap, which is what we call for. So should be good to go there. So we got our rectifier changed out. Radio seems to be working good. It's got plenty of reception. We're not struggling to get enough voltage to the set to make it work properly now. Alright, got all the electronics done, all the caps replaced.
Early winter. If you'd like to plan a trip to South America, you've been thinking about doing that.
Yeah, that's a big old hunkin' dropping resistor, but that's all I had.
South American tours. You do need to take that travel starting in
got our voltage down to where we need to be anyway, so.
2020. And they're also doing a really
what is
nice
that?
They've got some
10 watt resistor. I don't think that thing's gonna go bad anytime soon. So. Anyway, yeah, we're done here, and the radio is picking up great. This is 560, which is a pretty weak station about 50 miles away, and it's coming in pretty good.
At the heart of things is the understanding.
And like a lot of these videos, 970 is on the camera frequency, oscillating. But without the camera on, this thing picks up stations all across the dial. Like in typical Zenith fashion, it works great. So. So yeah, we're done with this electronic part. It seems to be working great, so I'm gonna see what I can do with this leather cabinet. It's pretty rough. You know, like a lot of the stitching and stuff is coming undone, but you know, we'll at least try to clean it up and make it look a little bit better. Alright, got another one back together. Got the cabinet cleaned up here, and what I did with this leather-like material, I'm not sure it's leather, but it's got tears and stuff all in it. I mean, you know, not much you can do about that besides recover the whole thing. This is like some material, it's cloth, but it's leather-like, and it's kind of like what they wrap books in. So what I did was I cleaned it up real good, and like I do with a lot of leather stuff, I use mink oil, which is kind of old, you know, an old way to revive leather. You can get mink oil at a shoe store. You won't find it at like places like, you know, Kmart, Walmart, or anything like that most of the time. You usually have to go to a shoe store, but it will really bring back dried out material, and this leather-like material it did a good job on, so we did that. And we got some polish and polished up all that plastic, and so there it is with it closed. That powers off the radio. It's a switch in there, and that little clasp comes up and holds it. But anyway, so yeah, and this brass trim piece here, I could have polished that up, but you know, a lot of people are like, don't do that, you know, you like the patina. People like the patina in brass, so I'll leave it the way it is. It's easier to do it that way anyway. So and the handle was real squeaky and all that, so I oiled that up and oiled up the hinges on the bottom. Unfortunately, this hinge on this side is broke on the back, so you know, it was rusted out pretty good, and I oiled this hinge, so at least we got one hinge on the back. I try not to open this thing up too much, but anyway, speaking of that, stand by and I'll show you a back view. Alright, so here's the back view of the open radio here. I decided to keep the battery in here. I'm just gonna store it in here, not gonna have it connected or anything like that, but just for appearances, thought we'd keep this battery in here. It's pretty cool. You hardly ever find these things. You're usually always out, gone, so it would be neat to reproduce this packaging and make your own battery and put in there, so you would actually have a working battery for it. But anyway, you know, in there for appearance nonetheless. So it does pretty good scanning around the band. The camera is going to make squealing noises on this. When the camera goes off, you don't hear this.
If you're making notes, number one, drill into your mind the reasons you will not be a slave to debt.
And it's during the daytime, so these are all local stations. That's 970.
In the 3rd or the 9th district listening right now, get out and vote. Every vote counts.
Therefore, they that were scattered abroad everywhere.
That's the station right up the road, it's blaring in as normal. It's only a 1,000-watt station, but it's just right around the corner. Their transmitter is right behind the station, so it's always pretty loud over here.
Every time you pass go, you collect $200. Well, the men get $200, the women.
Oh, I got a country station on the top end of the dial. Can't really remember right offhand where that's at. We're up around 1600. So, yeah, this thing does. It does great. It's a really good performing radio for a little portable, and this is just receiving straight off of this internal antenna right here. That's it. With it having a tuned RF stage, it's a really good radio. Of course, I wouldn't expect anything less from Zenith. Every time I always see a Zenith, I always try to pick it up. I can get it at a good price. This one wasn't the best looking radio, but it works really well. And it's kind of unique too. You don't see these too often. A station somewhere around 600 something. That's 560. It's a little weak, but it's always usually a little weak around here. So yeah, picks up stations all across the dial.
Plan on failing by leaving the back door open? When you keep...
All right, that's my 1950 Zenith.
What are you doing?
Playing again, a little portable radio with the original battery still in the back of it.
You're really saying that
Playing again, and
I choose
hopefully, you know, somebody will enjoy it for many more years to come. I don't know if I'm gonna leave this one in my collection or what, but either way, it's going again, and I appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully I can get some more videos up, and it won't be so long since you know, in between videos. I've just been so busy lately, it's been hard to get in here and get stuff done. Thank y'all for watching.